Young Justice Season 4, Episode 19, Encounter Upon the Razor's Edge. So far out of the new episodes, I think this one is my favorite one, just because it
Yeah,
reveals a
I
lot.
100%. Sorry, I 100% agree with you. This was just. I mean, I already put in my points that I want to go in, but this has been like ever since the Artemis arc, we haven't really got an episode that I really enjoy, and this episode's been the most enjoyable.
Yeah. And even like a character that we have no clue about, they give us a lot of stuff that's just like cool to see, like a red and blue lantern rings and whatnot.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. I was gonna bring that up. I didn't know if you watch. Have you seen the Green Lantern animated series?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is actually a callback to that series. Like, because for those of you who are not familiar, the Green Lantern animated series came on the DC Nation block with Young Justice, right? During like the early, like in 2012, around that time, and it also got canceled because it wasn't selling toys as well. But there was a storyline with Razer and Kilowog with this whole thing. So they basically followed it up with the original voice actors. So that was another reason why I love this episode so much, because it was like for those of us who
Oh,
watched
interesting.
that series, it was kind of a callback. So they kind of made it play within the universe, which was really, really, really
Yeah.
dope.
I,
So
I didn't know that, but he seemed like a cool character in general.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
was just like,
yeah.
dang, blue and red lantern rings. That sounds dope as hell. Like,
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm glad to see you enjoyed it, because I felt like for someone who didn't know about that, I felt probably would have been a distracting storyline. But the fact that you enjoyed it, I'm glad, because like
yeah,
for me, it was just like a Easter egg. Like, oh my god, I can't believe they did this.
yeah. I mean, I feel like it doesn't. It's its own thing, and it doesn't necessarily play into any storyline we know of so far. Maybe it could in the future, but
Hmm.
even for the sake of having Rocket realize, oh, when he said something about hope and rage both being a part of him and not just rage,
Hmm.
you could see something happening in Rocket's mind, like makes her think.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, I guess if we're gonna talk about Rocket in general, it's just her whole thing with her kid as well. It's very similar, a parallel to the conference that they just had.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely,
so
definitely.
I guess Rocket's character is supposed to just be someone who, at the current moment, finds it hard to understand things, and then like hopefully there's a revelation later that she can like sort of understand later.
Yeah, and I guess since we're talking about Rocket's character, this is something that I kind of did find a gripe with this episode, or at least, I mean, I don't know if the whole arc is going to be like this, but my only issue, if I have to say, because there's a lot of things I'm going to talk about that I loved, is that it seems like these arcs, the after Artemis, it seems like the characters, the main characters that we're seeing, are original team characters. They seem to be less emotionally irrelevant towards the main plot, which isn't always a bad thing, but then it kind of makes it feel like it's a false advertisement where it's like, okay, we're going to get this whole thing about Rocket just to realize we're dealing with all these other issues, and her only issue is just
Man,
with her
I'm
son.
okay with that. Man, I'm okay with the fact that they're focusing on the Legion story more and this other cool character. I'm sorry, dude, but like Rocket seems
Okay,
so uninteresting to me right now. Like I know she's cool as a character in general, but like her storyline and the things that are happening with her, I just don't find it interesting. I feel like anyone could be that person.
yeah, see, that's what I mean, and I feel like they could have done it in a way like when you look at the Artemis arc. I feel like everything plays off of Artemis. Everything is relevant to Artemis. So even the whole thing with Superboy being destroyed, right, or like being supposedly in the Phantom Zone, right? That whole thing, it relates to Artemis because Artemis knows what it's like to lose someone. So they did it in a way where everything felt relatable. But it seems like as these arcs are going on, it just seems the conflict seems less relatable to the character, to the point where it's like, why do you even have this character? Like it almost just feels like we're only seeing Rocket there just because it's like, oh, she was part of the original team. And for someone who we didn't get to spend too much time with Rocket, it's sort of kind of disappointing to be like, you're going to promote this character, but yet we're not even going to deal too much with this character. This is going to be a little small, little like,
Yeah, I get
oh,
you.
is related to her
Yeah, that
lives.
makes sense.
So that's again, it's a gripe, but it didn't ruin the enjoyment of this episode because there's so much to enjoy with this episode. So
Yeah. So what did you like about this episode?
well, besides my fanboying with the whole Green Lantern stuff, I loved how they did the backstory with Lor-Zod and the Legions. I felt like the way it was presented, it made much sense because it's like the characters are like, yo, if I'm going to trust you, I need to know about you. And like, okay, they just explain the whole plot. And it's like, and it parallels with each other too. So it's like you're seeing two sides of the same coin as well, or different sides of the same coin, which is
same story told from two different perspectives essentially. And yeah, I'm glad that I'm really really glad that Impulse is back, or the new Kid Flash, and he's gonna be a part of this with the cosmic treadmill and everything. That sounds. I'm really happy about that. This is what I wanted, you know, like I talked about last review. Like I want more of the old characters because there's so much potential in using those characters. Because not only because we have a relationship with them already and we feel like we like them, but it just they're more interesting. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
I think it's just they were put in, like the way they were introduced to us was more interesting. I think the way these new characters are introduced, it goes back to what I mean by emotional relevance, where it's like, on one hand, we have the Legions, and they do play an important role in the plot. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't have no connection with any of these Legion superheroes. Like, I don't really care much about their lives as much.
Yeah,
I mean, the only thing they're only important is because they know Superboy. So
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not that interested in the Legion. I don't really care. To me right now, they seem more like a group rather than individual characters.
Exactly. I kind of agree with you. The way they're portrayed here is really just, they're kind of just like there just to serve that whole plot
so
line.
so I don't feel any attachment to them. I don't feel like, oh, I'm not even sure what their names are, I forgot. so it's like I don't feel that interest or attachment, and I hope they change that, because even with the whole Forager and Forager thing, I didn't really feel that either. Obviously it's not necessarily for us to feel anything. It was more for like the Red Blue Lantern Razer's thing.
Yes, and that's the beauty part with that, because if you watch the original, or if you're familiar with the old series, because the person that he said he's looking for is Ion or Aya. My God, it's been a while since I watched it, and the reason why is because of that love. So it's kind of when he saw them together, it kind of reminded about his love for her. So it was sort of a small little callback with that. But I'm glad, even for someone again who didn't know about that, still was able to enjoy that.
Yeah. And even though I'm like, okay, yeah, that relationship, I didn't feel it, whatever, it at least served a purpose for this episode. And that's why, in particular, I was like, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, a lot of the new characters, I just feel like they're not being used very well, in my opinion. Except for, I mean, Razer, he's dope.
Razer is the only character to be used dope. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I agree. In fact, I felt like that backstory, I connected more with Lor-Zod in that backstory than the Legions. Just because it's like, yo, man, like my family has been in this Phantom Zone. They destroyed the Phantom Zone. It's not cool. And like, bro, I'm just trying to get my stuff back. So like, I felt more personally connected with Lor-Zod. While Legions is just like, oh, okay, because you just want to bring Superboy. I mean, I get it. Legion of Heroes are automatically gone, but could there be another superhero service? Like, at least Lor-Zod, it's like he's just trying to bring his family back. Like, so
yeah.
So yeah, I agree. So I agree on that. Another thing,
and then Jay Garrick, right? Jay Garrick.
Yeah, Jay Garrick.
The fact that he's just sitting there.
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad
him being there.
I kind of take back my words. I'm glad that Blue Beetle isn't there to just sit there. I'm like, if that's how they're gonna treat like the characters in that plot line, I don't even care. Like, I take back my words.
Well, the fact that Kid Flash is going to be there, I'm pretty sure it's going to relate to that. But even then, it just brings me, it just brings to the point where it's like, if he's just there, then it kind of brings to your point. Anybody could have been there if that's the case. But
no, it would have been even cooler. I mean, yes, he has a relationship with Jay, but also like with Blue Beetle as well, like to see them together again, because I love that pair.
Yeah, that'd been interesting, because especially with the whole time travel thing, Blue Beetle, Kid Flash, they definitely would have had more of an emotional.
Yeah.
I do think it would have a more of an emotional impact.
I also think Lor-Zod made a really good point. He was just like, yo, those Legion people were just too chicken to mess with the timeline. Dude, I feel like they could have been way more effective if they just like took some risks in getting some people to know. I mean, they already hinted at a lot of things with Superman, and if they already knew that Impulse was, a wild card in a timeline, they could have told him a lot earlier too, considering they were following Superboy since that whole conference at the UN. So I just feel like the Legion did it wrong.
Yeah, they. I mean, to be fair, they were very cautious because they didn't know when Lor-Zod was going to strike. So that was the reason why they were on Superboy.
But they had 3 people,
Even then, they were super. They don't know, man. They. I'm pretty sure Lor-Zod was. I don't know how strong he is, but I'm pretty sure he was strong that they needed 3 of them. Like, there's a reason why all 3 of them travel instead of like.
That's fair. I mean,
2. So
to that point, I feel like it also supports the fact that they should have gathered more help. It's like they're trying to fight a Kryptonian with 3 people.
That's fine. That's true, but I don't know how many of them really knew. Yeah, I mean, there's much to that backstory that we don't know how many of them really knew that like all 3 of them were gone, or how risky it would be to have multiple people, because it's like how they're gonna hide. Like if there's like hundreds of them or 10 of them, how they hide all 10 people.
Yeah, so but what I mean is that they could have, once they were back in whatever timeline, like they knew that Lor-Zod was gonna attack and whatnot after the UN. At that, like, I don't even know how long that is. That's like more than 6 months by now for sure in the Young Justice timeline. Those 6 months they could have started recruiting people. It'd be like, okay, Lor-Zod could attack at this moment, but he probably won't because Superboy is still next to Superman or something like that. Let's go recruit someone. Like 2 of us watch, and then you go recruit someone that could potentially help, like Impulse.
They could, but I think the fear was, again, if they recruit, or are you talking about recruit people from that timeline?
Yes.
So they mean are you talking about go back to their timeline, or the timeline, the Young Justice timeline?
The Young Justice timeline.
Well, the problem with that was that because that would alternate the timeline, because they're afraid that any person they tell would alternate the timeline.
Alter the timeline. I get that. Risk. What I'm saying is that they shouldn't have been chicken and should have just like, who cares? They should have impulsed it. Impulse legit was just trying his best to alter the timeline.
Yeah. I mean,
that's,
I think
that's just my personal opinion.
That's fine. That's a personal opinion. I mean, I can see where you're coming from there. I think it's just like,
I mean, because in the end, they let Superboy technically, in their minds, they let him die, but he's in the Phantom Zone, so he's fine. But,
Exactly. That's an interesting thing. You would have think that they would have assumed that they would go to the Phantom Zone, especially with Phantom Girl. So it's like you think there would have been somewhat of an assumption there, but I guess it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. But overall I love this episode. It was a fun episode to watch.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing another small thing that happened in the show was the whole discussion with New Genesis and the Green Lanterns and the Justice League about like how they should proceed with these issues. And I kind of like how, funny enough, Kilowog kind of mentioned like, bro, nothing's gonna happen in the first scene when he's with them, and basically it happened. And he said his whole defense is like, when something's not gonna happen when they have a meeting. Basically, he's saying means are pointless and means are distraction for something to not happen. Like if you want effective change, don't have a meeting. That was his whole philosophy. So I like how he ultimately predicted the outcome of the whole thing.
I'm curious if Metron is going to do anything with the lantern rings since he's researching them.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he can be a future villain. Although Metron usually is neutral in storylines.
Yeah, he's an antagonist or whatever. He's whatever he wants to be. But yeah, I guess we can go to the comments. Overall, with the comments, I guess to start this off, we do appreciate the feedback. Keep in mind, like, we have not watched the first season in a long time. And like, even with this last part 1, it's been like, I know it's been coming out a couple of months, but we also have other things. So if we miss certain details, please correct us, but don't take it too personally if we, miss those details. Just say, yo, man, this is what happened. So with that being said, I just want to address the comments that talked about what happened with McGann's brother. When he went to jail, it was off of suspicion. It was never off of evidence. And then afterwards, they let him free. And then he was also with the White Martians, so the White Martians were kind of protecting him. And then when McGann confronted him, he got kidnapped by a boom tube. Randomly snatched him, and Martian Manhunter tried to stop him, but the boom tube just randomly snatched him. So that's why the whereabouts on why they haven't.
Yeah.
You know,
It's been a while, so
happened.
I totally forgot about that scene. But now that you mention it, I'm starting to get flashbacks of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
a lot of comments were addressing that.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for keeping us in check.
Yeah.
Me in check mostly because I was the one who was complaining about it. But
Yeah.
I still think he's kind of like somebody they should have as like a person of interest in terms of watch out for this guy, or at least like send a little bit of people to look for him. Either way, but go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the comments that was kind of addressing this, because this one seemed a little bit upset, which is named from James Woods. I will say that I did mention the whole Voyager thing. So for you to mention the whole Voyager was there because of the bugs. I don't know if you got upset after that point or didn't watch the full video, but I did mention the whole Voyager thing. I think it's just that Scott, if I'm correct, the whole reason why you're saying that, like, the whole random characters is like the idea is that they can choose any character they want to put part of the story. And we're wondering why did they choose these three characters comparing to other characters? And even with this new episode, again, it's like Jay Garrick wasn't really doing anything. So it's just, I think that was where we were coming from at it. It's not to say that the show is completely random. Like, we know the show kind of, everything has a reason towards it. Like, every person has a role. It's just that we just would have been better. We just feel like certain characters are more emotionally relevant to us than other characters. So
Yeah.
that's what her whole point was with that.
Okay, Tevya said that I love that we got to see both General Zod and his son and are in the show. Oh boy, this opens so many can of worms that I can hardly wait. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I never knew that Zod had a son, so this can be a very interesting storyline. I'm pretty sure obviously what's going to happen, or at least my predictions, is they're going to get Superboy out of the Phantom Zone while Zod also comes out as well.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I don't know why. That reminds me of the Injustice storyline, if you know the comics, where the Teen Titans were trapped in the Phantom Zone by Superman. And then when they got freed, Superboy came out with Zod. But that's just an interesting parallel that I noticed that was kind of funny.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with that. I'm actually really not familiar with that at all. Let's see. Good. Philman said Lor-Zod is the son of Drew Zod. Rocket's tech is given to her by Icon, and who is an alien, not a new god. Oh, who's an alien, not a new god. Yeah, I misread Rocket's tech. I thought it was part of I thought it'd be part of New Genesis, just because the tech, like the way he was looking at it, it seemed like they were trying to apply that, but as I rewatched it, it's just him being unfamiliar with the tech. So that's what was going on.
For sure. Let's see. Joe Talks said Orion is such an interesting character that I loved this episode. I'm really looking forward to this arc. Also, Magan's brother escaped via Buntu. Yes. Thanks for correcting us again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also interested in seeing what they do with Orion.
Let's see. Scott Summers 616. So I'm so glad that Rocket finally gets screen time. We're actually learning more about her, a character since season 1 and 2. She was barely there at all. The fact that we get to see Darkseid and his own plans are finally in action is exactly what I want, since Vandal's chapter has come to an end. Perhaps delay since he's working super slow, especially with the light. Yeah, that's a question I've been having with this season. What the hell's the light doing?
I mean, the light is pretty much just whatever Vandal Savage wants, right? So it's whatever apparently he has no further plans. So, or at least from the 2 previous episodes, like it seemed like he was angry that his plans got ruined. So I guess he's forming new plans, probably.
I guess they're just scheming in their little base. I mean, geez, whatever.
Okay. Are there any other comments that aren't about the Mars thing? I don't want to read like repeated comments.
Yeah, there's one by AC Dub Films.
Right. Yeah, I just realized the sense of time in the Phantom Zone is non-existent. Yeah. I'm kind of confused to how that works. I hope they explain it a little bit further, because I know Lor-Zod said that, in the Phantom Zone, it seems like they stay there for a very long time and just they don't age or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like what's the time relative to normal time is the question, you know?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. Yeah, we clearly don't know about that. I'm hoping. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I guess they get to play it off. They get to play it off. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I am curious though, since we did see Wally in the Phantom Zone, is that actual the real Wally? You know, 'cause he wasn't. I mean, he was blue and he looked like General Zod. So it's like maybe that's Wally coming back. You know, who knows?
Dude, you're right. Oh my god. I kind of I'm really really hoping that that's the real Wally, but if it were the real Wally, wouldn't he have stuck with Superboy? So
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Dang it. You're right.
yeah. I'm hoping they got lost. You know, like Wally was stuck on that rock and the Superboys just jumped. But I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that's not right. But either way, I'm interested to know.
Yeah.
That would be such a cool thing if they put Wally in the Phantom Zone for whatever reason, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that would make sense.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. But yeah, I think that's about it. Let us know your comments. I mean, put down your comments about your opinions about this episode as well as what you liked. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.
Peace.